Hi BookTube, my name is Juan, I am just one reader and I am here with my November reading wrap-up. So, I only read 4 books in total in the month of November of this year, 2021, the second year of the COVID pandemic. But it turns out that these 4 books were great. It was really one of the best reading months of the entire year for me. Very, very, very good reading month, actually. And I actually read probably my favorite book of 2021 this month. So, are you ready for this? Are you pumped? Are you psyched? Are you excited? Here we go. The first book that I finished in the month of November was The Golden Fool. This is the second book to the Tawny Man trilogy by Robin Hobb, which is the third series within the realm of the Elderlings. So in this installment, we follow the character of Fitz and, of course, the Fool, one of the most interesting, fascinating, charismatic, and enigmatic characters I've ever read. And it's a great story. Robin Hobb really excels at writing second books in trilogies. That's something that I have seen repeated in all 3 of her trilogies that I have read so far. And this was certainly not the exception. The Golden Fool was great. It was much, much better than Fool's Errand, the first book, even though I enjoyed the slow parts of that book, Fool's Errand, quite a bit. I found The Golden Fool to be a great improvement upon that. I loved it. I finished reading it and immediately I was like, I need to get on board with the third book. So it was great. I gave it a solid 4 stars, not quite a 5-star experience for me, just because, 5 stars is something that I reserve for, out of body experiences, like great, like top tier experiences. And this was just not quite there yet. But I really enjoyed it and I gave it 4 stars. Then I wanted to take a little bit of a break from reading Robin Hobb because I knew that the third book in that series was going to be quite a long book. So I just wanted to read something fast, something fast-paced, something that would not take a lot of time. And so I went with The Christmas Pig by J.K. Rowling, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Even though I am not its target audience at all, this is like a very simple, endearing story that is targeted to very small children. It's something that maybe parents should be reading to their children, or maybe like in a school setting, teachers reading this out loud in like a storytelling session to their children in the class setting. I think this would be really great for that. Or, if you are someone who enjoys reading middle grade or juvenile fiction, even though you are an adult like me, this was really great. This follows the story of this boy, and it's a fairly predictable story, but it also has some twists and turns. It's very holiday themed, of course. Christmas is in the title. J.K. Rowling is just a great author. I think everybody is sort of on the same page there. She's just great. She writes really well. Simple prose because she is talking to children, but the way that she tells this story might be simple, but the story itself is filled with loss and important topics, family dynamics, divorce, family dynamics that are explored in a very, very interesting fashion. And I think it's a very brave book. I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it maybe like a 3.5 stars, just because, it's not quite for me because I am a grown man reading middle grade fiction, but I really enjoyed it. Then I read some nonfiction, Molto Agitato. The The subtitle of this book is The Mayhem Behind the Music at the Metropolitan Opera. So this sort of takes you backstage, behind the scenes at the Metropolitan Opera in New York City, and it's sort of an account of the politics and the history of the Met. Some of it was a little bit dry, but the rest of it, the part that wasn't very dry and focused on the finances of the Met and the really boring like administration things of the Met, the rest of the book was absolutely interesting. I absolutely enjoyed those parts. I could not give this book a higher rating just because the book did have a lot of things that I found not interesting for me particularly. It's a matter of personal taste, and but the rest of the book was really gossipy and really interesting. Many wonderful stories and anecdotes about singers, which is something that I particularly enjoy reading about. And yeah, it's true what they say on the subtitle. It's the mayhem behind the music at the Met. So I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Very, very solid nonfiction book. Actually, one of my favorite nonfiction books of the year so far. And finally, the 4th book that I finished in the month of November. My favorite book of the year so far, I think. Fool's Fate by Robin Hobb, the 3rd and final book in the Tawny Man trilogy, the 3rd trilogy within the realm of the Elderlings, but this one really feels like a conclusion. This really feels like the finale of the first, I guess, cycle within the realm of the Elderlings, you know, the first 9 books, which I've heard people refer to them as the first cycle, and then the following 7 novels, which are the Quartet, the Rainwild Chronicles, and then the final trilogy, the Fitz and the Fool trilogy, that's like a second cycle, if you will. But this book, Fool's Fate, man, I am going to probably make an in-depth review of the trilogy just because I think there are so many things I want to recommend about this trilogy. For the first time, I think Robin Hobb really pulled it off and brought everything home in a 3rd book in a trilogy. You know, because in the first trilogy, the Farseer trilogy, the 3rd book is horrible. It's a disaster. Many people try to sugarcoat it, but no, I think the Assassin's Quest is horrible. It's just bleh. It's a bad book. It's a good trilogy, but it's a bleh book. And then the 2nd trilogy, the Lifeship Traders, actually the 3rd book is great, but it still is the weakest of the trilogy. And then in here, I think Fool's Fate is actually the best book I've ever read by Robin Hobb. It was perfect. Everything was perfect. It's very long. It's 800 pages long, but it flew by. I read this in like less than a week or something. I was addicted. I could not stop reading. I was hooked. I loved the experience. It was wonderfully well paced. I was gripped. She does something really well where everything is filled with suspense and mystery. And so when we get to the climax around page 500 or something, we still have a good 300 pages of book before it wraps up. So it's like, what? This is happening. It's like the massive conclusion, the big scenes, the climactic scenes are happening, and we still have 300 pages to go before the book is over. So the pacing is wonderful because we get some really great scenes at the ending where everything is sort of closed and all of the storylines are sort of left in this bittersweet but really wonderful place. It feels like a conclusion. I know it's not over yet. I know we have more to read. There's the Rainwild Chronicles and the Fitz and the Fool trilogy. This one really feels like a conclusion though, so I still don't know how to place this book or how to think about this book's ending in the context of the entire realm of the Elderling series, but So far, best book of the year. It was adventurous and action-packed, great scenes of character, dialogue, and there was one death in particular in this book where I was just like, really? Are you doing this to me? It was great. It was a 5-star experience. Absolutely wonderful. I cannot sing this book's praises highly enough. So that's Fool's Fate by Robin Hobb, and that is my November wrap-up. What am I going to read in December? I don't know. I want to read something quick, something filled with mystery, something cozy, something interesting. I really don't know, but what am I going to read after Fool's Fate that I won't be comparing to this kind of experience? I think it's going to be unfair for the next book that I read after having finished Fool's Fate. I don't know, but I loved it. Thanks for watching. I am Just One Reader. I will see you on the next video, I guess.